Hello, everybody. I don't know. Welcome back to the channel where we talk about stuff. Don't forget to follow me on Facebook and on Twitter and on social media. There are links in the description below. This is, things are getting interesting in the cryptocurrency space, and I will be 8,000% honest with you. If these things don't come true, I don't know what I'm going to do with the rest of my year, my life, dare I say. If you've missed any of the last 300 videos, institutions are like heavily in the cryptocurrency space. Surprise, right? Who knew? The other really crazy part is that they're also buying up like large amounts of Bitcoin. But it's not like just normal large amounts of Bitcoin. It's like all of the Bitcoin. Do you remember last year around March or April 2024, somewhere around there, we began to get news about exactly how much Bitcoin was being purchased by the ETF issuers, for those of you who weren't here. We were under the assumption that the amount of Bitcoin that these companies were accumulating was roughly several hundred Bitcoin per day, $35 million, somewhere around these numbers. Until someone actually came forward and like gave us the real numbers. The amount of Bitcoin that just the ETFs in the US of A were accumulating was eight times the amount of Bitcoin that was being mined per day. 8 massive amounts of Bitcoin. That's when prices began to move back up. There was a little, no, we're still kind of there, weird period where people were pretending that the current inflow rate is around 2 or 3 times the amount of Bitcoin being mined daily. 300% of that Bitcoin that's mined is being exclusively absorbed by the ETFs. That's not whale wallets. That's not other things. It's literally just from these companies and actual organizations. And then we've been getting a lot of news recently that like governments are also buying it. And I mean like explicitly. We heard it from the former CEO of Binance, the current CEO of Binance. We heard it from one of the heads of Coinbase. We heard it from people from Kraken. Like across the board, everyone's like, yeah, no, governments are like actively in contact with us, trying to buy large amounts of Bitcoin. When I said if this all doesn't come to be, I feel like my reality will kind of split in different directions because at some point something has to give. Like, I mean, just from a logical standpoint, we can't continuously sit here and have amazing news and still be under a $300,000 Bitcoin. It just doesn't add up, as it were. Adam Back is the current CEO of Blockstream. He was in the news a couple of months ago, for those of you who don't remember. He was giving an interview and they were asking him, what institution, what company should be buying Bitcoin right now? And I mean, it really touched my heart because he went, no. The people who should be buying Bitcoin right now are normal people, retail investors, everyday normal people should be buying it. And I was like, that lets me know that he's like at least this much of a good guy. Normal people should be buying Bitcoin. It's literally for normal people. It's not for rich people. This is usually the gigantic folly that people make. Understand from this standpoint as well before we continue on. Adam Back isn't a normal human being. I'm pretty sure that Adam Back was also even listed in the actual Bitcoin white paper, like from Satoshi Nakamoto. I'm pretty sure. I think it was one of. I'm pretty sure he's. But the connections that he has on this planet also aren't normal. Like you might know one person, and this person might have a lot of money. This is basically like the closest that we can get to Satoshi Nakamoto in like real terms right now. The people who he knows, the connections that he has, I can't do anymore. The money that he's around, he knows stuff that we will never be privy to, but he also understands exactly what's happening and where all this money is coming from and what it's going to do to Bitcoin's price. Adam Back has stated that the price of Bitcoin is going to between $500,000 and $1 million US by the end of this year. I'll tell you, it is physically, mentally, and spiritually, digitally exhausting for me to constantly hear that banks, companies, corporations, Capital 21, MicroStrategy, MetaPlanet, BlackRock, Fidelity, the United States government, you name it, are all into Bitcoin, are all buying lots of Bitcoin. And then to hear price predictions like this, my logic meter lines up very firmly because I go, of course, these numbers are going to happen. And then I look at the market on certain days and I go cross-eyed because I'm like, why isn't it? It's not that it's not reacting to this news. A lot of the movements that we would see in the market would be coming from retail investors. But people live under this world, this umbrella, where they wait for rich people to do something and then they follow suit after them. It's a complete flip from where we were years ago. We were the first ones in the market. We moved the market with our purchases. Rich people got into the market and said, hey, look over at what I'm doing. And then when prices don't move, the people who originally made the market, they lose interest. They don't buy. They don't pay attention to what's going on. This is why I think things are the way that they are. You'll probably run across them over the course of the next couple of whatever. But you can also find some from the last couple of months. A lot of news just about retail investors selling, or retail investors being fatigued, or just simply not being in the market anymore. It's a really gross magic trick that rich people have been able to perform to buy up everything, to own all the assets, and to make you think that basically it's not worth it until the valuation of it goes up so high that you can't own it anymore. The Blockstream CEO emphasized that the launch of spot Bitcoin ETFs and the intense interest from Wall Street giants have created fierce competition for Bitcoin supply. He also mentioned that government funds are also investing in Bitcoin. We should be over $500,000 right now. Like easy. There's no reason why we should even remotely be this low. I don't get how no one's paying attention. You've heard me say this hundreds of times, at least this year. And to the 14 of you, hello, who are paying attention, answer my question. Why, if you see that the US dollar is being devalued, as we've been hearing and we know, and you see that governments are buying up Bitcoin to get away from the US dollar, that should strike fear in your heart that the US dollar is collapsing, and you normally would run to the other answer that the countries are doing. Because Bitcoin is so finite, I kind of logically assume that other people will hear this news, but there's no like mad dash towards it. It's almost like no one cares that we're getting, and I'm sorry for like reiterating it, but it doesn't make sense. I keep trying to find the logic or the answer in some sort of capacity or way, but we're not getting news that every day that there's like 3 million new Bitcoin wallets, or that this is happening, or that, 3 million new wallets just purchased a million Satoshis. There's no movement except for like whale movement and big money movement who knows how to control and manipulate prices to keep them exactly where they want them so that they can buy up more. And it's like, it feels like no one cares. It feels like no one will care until we get to that $500,000 to $1 million this year. I'm sorry for I'm sorry for the segue, but it really drives me crazy. I don't know if it's me. I don't know if it's the market. I don't know if it's the institutions. I don't know if it's like maybe like we're not getting like big enough names buying it into the market to like really get people to understand what's happening. Rich people are going to own all the land. They own huge portions of cities. They're going to own all the apartments. They're going to own all the houses. They owned air rights. Look up what air rights are. They literally own portions of the air. They're buying up all the Bitcoin that there is. Governments, how many times over the course of a week do we have to keep hearing some person literally say like governments are also buying it? Sovereign wealth funds are also buying it. For that to actually mean something. So much of this market drives me insane. I wish I could have it like laid out for you so I could tell you exactly what, but like it's difficult being in this market now. It wasn't years ago. Years ago, this was a relatively like kind of like fun place, but I've seen the shift of people pay attention to Bitcoin, Ether, and XRP to going to like fart coin and meme coins and blah, blah, blah coin and like not really caring about longevity or growth or like what these people are doing. It's not that you should be following rich people. It's more like logically just look at what they're doing. Everyone loves to talk about Warren Buffett and the other guy, the one who also passed and stuff like that and what they did. But when you see explicitly like those were two men who were like, I'm going to do A, B, and C. You're getting like 60 governments talking about doing this one thing as opposed to just two people. And people in crypto go, well, the price didn't move today. Okay, well, yeah. So we've been getting a lot of like higher end people in the crypto space who we normally don't hear about. It's kind of like a couple of weeks ago where Charles Hoskinson, normally like the creator of a coin, doesn't talk about their coin's price. And Charles Hoskinson predicted Cardano going to $5 to $10 over the course of this year. So now we have Adam back. And I mean, it logically makes sense. There's almost none left. If MicroStrategy, BlackRock, and Capital 21 get to as much Bitcoin as we know they're going to have this year, there won't be any liquid Bitcoin left on exchanges. If you missed the other couple of videos, MicroStrategy also just announced because of governments buying, they want a lot more. You know how much more? They're going to be raising an additional $82 billion. So not their normal 21, they have an additional 42 plan to raise an additional $84 billion to buy Bitcoin. And then people in crypto, it does nothing. Like it doesn't. This happens in every other asset class. If you hear that someone is buying some Banksy's price goes up. If you hear that there are people who buy collectibles and someone's like, I just bought this Charizard for $500,000, Charizard and the rest of the market also goes up. It's like, it's just a logical movement in the actual valuation of all these things. We hear that governments are buying up Bitcoin. We know that Bitcoin at some point is going to 1 million and 14 of you care. It's quite frustrating. Well, yeah. We'll see what happens. Good luck to all of thee. That is a real thing. Because I know a lot of people just have almost completely checked out. They're not really paying attention anymore. Well, I hope that you've all enjoyed. I hope you all are having a great day. Why does it keep going back to that? I hope you all are having a great day. Morning, afternoon, evening, wherever you are, wherever you might be. I do hope it's absolutely fantastic. Thank you all once again for watching, listening, liking, commenting, and supporting. And I will most certainly be talking to you all soon. See you.